Hello and welcome back to another video on the Watford Analytics channel. Lots to discuss. Actually, I'm going to try and cover a fair bit in today's video. Unfortunately, sorry I wasn't able to cover the last previous game, the build up to the Birmingham game as well. I had a busy week and then obviously, as you can imagine, quite a short turnaround with the games being so thick and fast. But we're back again now, so we're going to be discussing Saturday's game as well. So we could talk about Birmingham, as well as looking ahead to Saturday's game away at Preston North End, and also some of the transfer speculation that's been going around in the last week or so. So quite a lot to cover, so we'll try and get through it. I'll try and make this not ridiculously paced and hopefully get through everything. So we'll start off, of course, with the game last night, as I'm recording this. 1-1 draw at Birmingham. At St Andrews, obviously mixed feelings. I felt we dominated the game. We'll talk about the lineup a little bit. We had a few changes. Obviously, Sarr with an injury. Where you fall on that, whether it's true or not, up to you. But there's question marks around that. Obviously, with some transfer speculation going on. But what we did see is Pedro start, which obviously, I think at the time calmed a few nerves potentially, at least in the short term. But yes, we had the back three again. Obviously, with Hause and Kamara being out suspended, we opted to go back to that back three system. We saw Mario Gaspar play on the right wing back position for the first time, and we got a few debuts as well. We had Hause in the attacking midfield position and Bayo up front as well. And there's some interesting performances. I think just kind of talking about the team in general. Standouts to me. I think Backman did well again. A little bit shaky in possession at times. Sirialta continued doing what he's been doing, dominant in the middle, what we've been looking for. Chowdhury I thought was good again. Pedro I thought he was good, but he was good in his movement. His touch was reasonably good, but it was just that the final pass was a little off. He had a good cross into Bio at one point, but his possession was a little bit off, a little bit forced at times. It just wasn't quite clicking. But still creative and still one of our biggest threats. Don't get me wrong on that one. Also, Ken Semmer had a decent shift on the left. But I thought Mario Gaspar started in and out of the game. I thought as the game grew on, he got more active and he ended up being quite useful, especially in that transition. Esprit, I thought was really lively. He looked good. 18 years old and he's coming in, he's starting, he's looking comfortable. He looks a lot of fun, he's fresh, and he's kind of everything we hoped he would be at this point, I'd say. Bio, I thought actually had a good start. We'll talk about him a little bit more in terms of his performance is kind of relevant to the whole team actually, because we'll talk a little bit more about that. Birmingham obviously set up John Eustace and the three at the back system. They were very stubborn, they kept a lot of numbers behind the ball. Scott Hogan and Troy Deeney played a lot of the game in the halfway line. And it was a congested midfield, but I thought in general actually I was quite pleased with the way we were able to move the ball around. We were probing, we were being patient, but we were looking to build attacks, and it's tough. They had a good deep system, and it was difficult to get through. Plaqueta on the left, I thought did a good job of driving forwards as well, and Hall through the centre as well was also really good at supporting. Scott Hogan was offside the whole night, which was a shame for them, but he was making some good runs. But it was Watford domination for most of it in terms of the ball. Let's have a look here actually, in terms of statistics overall. Yeah, 71% of the possession to Watford. We controlled the game from a possession perspective, which obviously isn't everything, but it's going to indicate something, and it's indicating we were dominant in terms of that. We looked to control the game, and I thought that the tempo of the passing wasn't perfect, but it was better, and I was concerned about how we're playing these sorts of games, and whilst again it wasn't perfect, I think if you add a few pieces and get the balance a little bit better, I think it can still be effective, especially in those away games where teams are going to be stubborn at times, especially ones like Birmingham under John Eustace. But in terms of how we were trying to break the team down, we were trying to cross-field pass a lot to varying success. I don't think that was quite. It wasn't quite executed in the manner which it would have to be really to be consistently effective. But what I think we did do well, we allowed Pedro and Esprit to drop very deep and wide at times to pick up the ball. They were very active. It did leave Bio a little bit exposed, or a little bit isolated in the forward position. However, I did think against a back three, he never stopped moving. He was on his toes. He was active. and he made it relatively difficult for that back three to kind of be secure on him. He had a couple of chances. He got into some good positions when the ball came into the box. He was unfortunate with a header. I'm sure he realises he should have done better. It's not a bad effort. It's just kind of missed time slightly, but from a Pedro cross. But I like the fact that he was on the move at the time and looking for space, and he looked sharp. He looked to be, gambling on everything, and I just liked the kind of the tempo that he played at. Well, it didn't come off from him perfectly by any means, but he was involved in some good link play. He was also able to come deep as well. But having Yasser Asprilla and João Pedro dropping into those deeper positions really helped. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to show some examples of that in a little bit. I'm not exactly sure how it's going to work with the video side of things, but I'm going to try, and if it gets taken down, then it gets taken down, so we'll see. Another outlet for them who was quite difficult to handle was actually Bakuna. He did quite a good job for Birmingham at times. Let's just kind of looking through some of the numbers here real quick. Overall, I mean, there's a... We'll look at where's info goal gone. I thought I had another app open. Oh, okay, I did. So in terms of XG, 1.67 to Birmingham, 0.39. As you can see, the chances of Birmingham very scattered. Not high probability. Grant Hall's 5%. But it was a good finish from Hall. It was a good play from Birmingham actually, but we had some good chances. Mario Gaspar cleared off the line, ridiculously close. Vacu Bayo, that header we talked about, a handful of chances. There's definitely enough opportunities to win this game, I'd say, but especially with the control we had, creating a few more chances and getting a few more shots away would obviously be ideal. Looking through some of the individual numbers here, some of the collective numbers. 2 big chances, 2 missed. 10 shots in the box, which is good for us actually. That's quite a good number to see. 600 passes, accuracy 85%, much better than what we're seeing. We're looking at games we were in the 60s. Obviously played a little bit shorter. We still kept the dribbles high, which we expect us to do. And yeah, it's kind of the numbers you expect to see from the sort of team performance that we had. In terms of the individual, I'm just kind of isolated to Watford here and look at some of these attacking numbers. 5 dribble attempts for Pedro, a couple of shots but blocked. So Esprit had a dribble completed. Let's have a look at possession maybe as well. Kayembe's success rate was a little bit higher than I expected. As is Bayo's actually. I didn't touch the ball much, but I remember him turning over a little bit more than that. Yeah, and then you look at key passes. Ken Sema with 4 key passes in that game, and João Pedro with 3. Vakin Bayo also got 2 himself, which is interesting to see. But yeah, big chances created. João Pedro 2, which is always important. And the thing with João Pedro, I don't think he had his best game. In some ways, he was active. He was looking to get into space, and he was picking up good positions, but it was just that slight little overforcing of the pass, and just didn't quite click. But obviously, there's a lot going on around outside of the ground, and maybe that was partly to blame. Who knows? But it wasn't quite his evening. A little shout out as well. Obviously, 2 subs that made an impact. Raymond Nye came on, got the crucial touch in the goal. He came on and changed the game, became more physical, and gave us a different element. I think a lot of us wanted Davis at the bench first, who we did see make his debut. Too little to really talk about. But I think Joseph Hungbo as well also had a good performance on the left. He came on for Ken Sema later on. He really drove forward with the ball, carried well, and we got to see a little glimpse of set piece taking ability as well from him. And it was a promising little cameo from Hungbo. But we're going to talk a bit about how the team operated, how the 2 teams set up. You kind of look at our passing network here, if we will, real quick. And yeah, we're getting a lot of ball into the wide areas, but we are creating that unison between that wing back situation and the centre backs as well. We are getting the ball a little bit further forward. We are finding space, and it kind of does show that we were able to be a little bit more incisive. You see the links obviously heavily between the defensive players because of how much possession we had. 52 passes between our centre backs. It indicates a lot of A lot of possession, not always meaningful, but definitely retention. But looking at the two teams, I'm going to show real quick here, then I'm going to give the examples of how we were playing, how we were looking to find space. So something obviously we're trying to do quite a lot. Cross-field passing, are we getting that stretch in the wing back? When the ball's getting into this position, the players are coming in to support. Are we able to hopefully catch out and get that cross-field ball? It was varied in success. Where we did find more success, in my opinion, where we were much better off for, was how we used the forwards and the attacking midfielders. We saw this a lot. We saw Ken Sema, pushing on, Pedro coming in to support. Say we had the ball in these sort of situations here, and we're creating opportunities. We're creating options. We're making the team react. Obviously, we're saying this against Birmingham here. And the ball will be coming into Pedro. He can float around. He can even be wider. Commit some players, create some of these promising or useful situations. But the real benefit, the key to these sorts of movements here, when Pedro's passing the ball, when Asprilla's passing the ball, what's the follow-on movement? So if Pedro's coming in, let's just illustrate this as Pedro for a second here. If Pedro's coming in, he's playing that ball, then we're starting to see the movement. As he's moving, as he's coming along, this is the opportunity for Asprilla. You could bounce pass, you could pass off Sema, Pedro's able to make those runs, and we're starting to create some spaces. We're making the other team react, and we're trying to find ways to make a favourable matchup. And it's vital. It's vital for us, because when you look at how easy it is to get trapped into these positions where you're really just recycling the ball over and over again through that back line, trying to find desperately some sort of space, but you don't have the real kind of speed and quality in midfield in terms of speed of mind, but also speed of kind of passing to break down these gaps. You end up the ball just being recycled back and forth into midfield, back in and around. Having that extra movement, having that circulation of the ball, it is really helpful, and that's also where Vacuum Bio being active, moving, getting in position was useful. We'll show some examples. I did take at least a couple. Again, we'll see how this works out. But early in the game, 14 minutes in, and we're going to talk about some of this here. So first off, Bio, like it, keeping the ball moving, quick tempo. And where's Pedro going in these situations here now? This is what we're going to look at. So in normal situations, you'd expect the striker to get forward. Pedro going to be bombing on, looking to get into the box. Ken Sema is actually pushing forwards. Pedro's coming wide, and he's offering Chowdhury options wide as well. And look what we can do from here. We can play back, but where Pedro's not going to move, he's going to stay in that position to give us a route forward. He's comfortable to hang deep on the halfway line still. Some good possession in midfield. See there's no option, you pass back in. Obviously you see Sarr clapping there as well. And where you see Asprilla pointing. We're trying to get wide. We're trying to get into Pedro. And this is where we can make things happen. So we've got some different options now. And this is the movement we're talking about. Let's wind this back a second. So Pedro's coming in, wheeling round, taking that space, and this is where the pass is on. That should have been a goal. Could have been a goal, let's say. If Asprilla was able to execute that pass, this is excellent play from Pedro. Is Asprilla had to be there? No. Unfortunately not. But again, we'll look one more time. We're also going to talk about Bayo's movement here as well. This is important. You see Bayo's turning his head. He's having a look. He's seeing the run of Pedro, and he's drawing defender in. He's making sure he's on the move. Get a defender in, and you've created a space for Pedro. This is the opportunity. Could have been through. Good movement from Bayo, good from Asprilla, good from Pedro, and that was a good move, good potential move. On the other side of that, there are some aspects we weren't quite able to give options to our players. Okay, let's see. I've got this listed down here, so let's see. Yeah, so this is one of the situations where you do get stuck. Okay, this we don't have the movement, and we try and go too early. Yeah, it's not as bad as I remember from my note, But what am I trying to see? Hold on. Yeah, I mean the thing is, that's actually the issue here is you just don't have we don't have the ability to pass into midfield and play forwards. I don't know, I think you can retain the possession a little bit more. I feel like that note was not great for me. I'm not sure why I took that time, if I took the wrong time. Let's move on to the next one. I'm not really sure that illuminates too much, especially when the crossfield pass was successful. Okay, so this is another example, I believe, of Pedro coming deep here to support with Kembe driving on potentially after. That was one issue there. You saw Bale getting taken down, where it's a little bit too easy at times to get pushed off the ball. But at least we were able to progress up the pitch on occasion a little bit more consistently than we have been previously anyway. Okay, so good play, turn, escape, and then we've got the ability to drive. So this is a good opportunity now. This is what we want to see more of from Kembe as well. That drive forward, finding space. That Pedro's still occupying deep. He's still playing in that deep position, trying to find opportunities to get the ball forwards, making things happen, adding some overloads. And what we really like there, though, is Kembe. He gets a little touch, and sometimes he just needs to see that little bit of space for a drive into it. It's a little bit frustrating at times. He has the opportunity more often. I want to see him carry that ball more and help us get forward, because it does bring us up the pitch. It makes space for Pedro if he is going to sit a little bit deeper and look for that space too. And we end up being able to kind of almost get a ball into the box. We'll talk about the goal as well, because I think there's some worth commenting on the goal. So the goal's a 62-56, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is when we started to see the second half. Mario Gaspar started to get more into the game. I thought he was much better. We see some good play here again down the right hand side. Asprilla and Gaspar here. What we do like is not just the pass from Asprilla, but the quickness and the turn. The time between this layoff from Asprilla and the turn and try and burn his defender is really good. And Gaspar's experience and intelligence to get in behind early. But look at that turn, instant. He's back into position. This could have been a pass. Quite easily, you could even argue rightfully should have been a pass into space for Asprilla, but it kind of falls apart a little bit too early. But great ball into the box, and obviously we see the shot across, and Manai gets the crucial touch. But it's much better. I know it's easy one to point out, but in terms of Gaspar linking up with those players and how you get those right wing back and left wing back to push up, Gaspar's not the fastest, but a little bit of smart interplay, good movement from Asprilla, and quick burst to force a commitment allows that space, and it was a really good goal. Now, but something I do want to highlight again, which I had mentioned already, is the crossfield passes that can, at times, hurt us a little bit, and this is the occasion, I believe. So, yeah, in possession, here, okay, yeah, this is a good example. This is what I want from Kembe in these situations, a little bit more of. So here, you got space. You can drive and commit. You've got, you have got a straighter pass on if you want to try and take it. But the real one is Mario Gaspar down here. He's open. It's just a little turn out, and you've got such a, yeah. I know it's easy to sit back and nitpick these things, but it's something which is relevant with Kembe because it's an issue we've struggled with. Those are a few examples, and there's some positive in there, especially Pedro's play and Asprilla, with a little bit of bio as well early on. So things I wanted to discuss. In terms of the result overall, I think we'll take it, I guess. We didn't lose, we got something out of it, but we could have easily come away with more on a different day. Obviously including some players into there, with it Davis and so on, might make us more functional, and I think would definitely help, especially in build-up, and replicating some of what Bio did with a bit more finesse and physicality. So moving on. We're going to look briefly at Preston now. So different slightly sort of opponent, but we're going to see some similarities in how they set up. Obviously a 3 at the back system again. Obviously very popular. They've got some good players in there. I like the midfield a lot. I like the wing backs a lot. They've struggled in the forward areas in terms of finishing. Troy Parrott, they'll be looking for more goals, but as of yet not been able to do it. I think they've only scored 1 goal so far this season, but I think they've created something close to 60 chances and not been able to put them away. But the real strength of this team for me, Woodman in goal has been good. Ben Whiteman, we know him as a player. We've discussed him. a fair bit. If you listen to the Watford Buzz podcast, he was one of our favourites for midfielders to bring in after Etienne Capoue left a couple of years ago in the Championship. So he's a known quantity, very good player, dictates the tempo really well, good range of passing, and someone that can be really, really useful for a team like this is looking to kind of build from the midfield. Ryan Ledson can add a lot of energy, incisiveness in possession, good set piece taker. We know Robbie Brady, obviously from the left, can be really effective at left wing back. Delivery can be on point, again, a good set piece taker, and someone that's kind of ideal Championship left wing back in my opinion. But they were dominant, Preston. I went back and watched some large portions of this game, and they really should have won it. I thought Rotherham were quite really lacking in a lot of ways. They weren't able to test Preston too much, but again, Ryan Lowe's team just couldn't quite find the finishing touch, and the forwards struggled, and that's kind of been the story of their season so far. Also, Liam Lindsay was great, really dominant centre back, and I liked that performance a lot. He was really active and just did a really good job of containing. Brady, obviously, you can see very advanced in these positions, getting balls into the box and being aggressive. Six key passes in that game. It's pretty impressive. 18 crosses. I mean, it speaks for itself. You talk about the other side too. Let's have a look. 2 key passes from Potts. 3 crosses. So, left-hand side, really dominant when it comes to attacking. It's something we've got to contain with our right side. However, we're going to set up, whether that's Mario Gaspar, which is most likely at this point, it seems. Him, that's a job, but also the right centre-back again. Christian Habaseli's got a big job in his hands, and I don't love the matchup if Robbie Brady is to get past Gaspar on the right hand side, so we've got to be cognizant of that. We've got to be aware of balls into the box. The only thing I will say I'm a little bit more confident about is Craig Cathcart's ability to defend at the back post and Siriata in the box. But the overall the team, the balance I think of Preston's really good. They do create opportunities, they do control the ball well, and they are a good passing team at times. It's just purely the opportunities. Big chance to miss 3. Dominated the ball. They got 21 shots. 6 on target, which is obviously a relatively low percentage, but the numbers of passes are relatively high, 4-12. I think we'll see a difficult Preston team. Actually, it should be I'd imagine a harder game than Birmingham, in the sense that I think they offer more from an attacking standpoint than Birmingham did, certainly in a lot of areas. Just kind of look at key passes. Ben Whiteman with 4 in that game. Potts with 2. Johnson, Daniel Johnson, another player that can be useful. Tough team. I actually quite like Preston, and it's one that's going to be interesting to see how it pans out in terms of matchups. Same thing we've got to do. We've got to look for the movement of Pedro. Hopefully still here. Hopefully playing. We've got to look for Espria to be active, and then whoever's playing in that striker role. Hopefully Keenan Davis. I think that'll add a different element for us and allow us a few more opportunities. But there's a lot of room still to work in. I think we'll try and hopefully dominate the ball again. Preston might not be so willing to give up possession, but I think we should at least try to get into those positions and look to dominate. We have Chowdhury in there. Whether or not we decide to stay over Espria, I really hope we do. I think we need that incisiveness. But it'll be interesting to see in terms of their. So look, I'm always curious their passing network, just to kind of see how that possession. I'm expecting very left dominant. If this wants to load, it's not going to load for me. Apologies. Alright. Sorry for the pause. We'll get back there in just 1 second. Here we go. Okay, passing network. Let's have a look. So pretty left heavy. Hughes, Brady, big connection. Hughes, Lindsay, okay. And Brady's also got a decent connection there as well with Johnson again. So I mean the left side is going to be where they're going to play from. Very likely to be the case, which isn't shocking based on their team setup. But so it should be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. I'm just hoping we can do the things we know we're capable of in those forward areas, and hoping we have the personnel available to us to actually pressure them find ourselves some joy. In terms of their rankings, we'll look at where they're ranking after the 4th match week now. So let's look at expected goals, XG per shot. Where are they going to be? Where are you, Preston? Yeah, okay. 0.98, 0.098. XG in total. They're actually pretty high up. This is also the model of why scouts will, XG of 5.39, goals scored 1. Expected goals against. XGA. They're relatively low. Why am I struggling? This Preston badge is not sticking out for me in these. Oh, they are relatively low. 4.71. Okay. Interesting. And we'll also look at a few more. Let's look at construction real quick. Look at key passes per 90. 2.26 to the final third per 90. Again, we won't stay here for ages, just kind of curious on a few of these numbers. Okay. And we'll look at the passing rate. So tempo of passing. Pretty high, higher than us, 14.3. Alright, okay, so yeah, that's Preston. I would discuss in a little bit more detail and maybe go over some Preston video. That's what I kind of would like to do for some of these opponents' opposition videos at a later date, but soon we've still got some more to discuss and we're kind of taking along with this video. I want to move on away from Preston. Big challenge for us, but hopefully we can do something positive. Now, talking about things away from off the field stuff, we got a few player moves to discuss. We'll start with Sarr. Wasn't in the squad, obviously, against Birmingham. Crystal Palace apparently have come in for him, 25 million. Sounds like that deal is in discussion right now, with potential for that move to go through. I think that's closer to the valuation of the player. Still a little bit under what we paid, but given all the situations, everything surrounding, it seems the club are strongly considering this deal. Leeds still interested as well. I think there's a good chance this one happens. Hard to say whether the injury was legit or not. Who knows? But he wasn't in the squad, so yeah, I don't know. There's lots of rumours, lots of talk going on. Lots of talk, discussion that the two parties met in Birmingham to discuss part of the deal. Who knows? But I think it's one that does potentially have legs here. It's been reported quite a few places, and there's definitely teams interested in Sarr. Would be a big blow if we miss him. But much like Pedro, it really depends on who comes in to replace. Now the next one is obviously Pedro here. There's been a lot of talk about him potentially being linked to Newcastle. Bid coming in for him, 20 million. Not enough. They offered more supposedly, or looking to offer more. 30 million deal is the talk. And it's a blow, honestly. If we go into the season now with without Pedro, Dennis, and Sarr, it's difficult. Now the question is with this deal and the Sarr deal, but I think if all three were to happen in terms of Dennis, Sarr, and Pedro, the question is how the club replace, if they replace. These deals are disappointing in some ways. I think especially Pedro, a lot of fan favourite, you could say. Offers quite a lot, and someone we hoped would be around for a little while longer. Whereas Dennis and Sarr, you felt like maybe at an age where we had to or they deserved to go, and we could cash into them at the right time, not hang on for too long, as you might feel we are in some situations with someone like Sarr. But it felt like Pedro is still in that sweet spot where he'd still be a useful asset for us. We still have a little bit more time with him. Obviously, if a massive deal comes in, then the club are going to be interested. But there was also the statements that supposedly the club weren't interested, or were not listing or not allowing Pedro to be sold. The 30 million doesn't seem the sort of fee that's going to give you no choice but to say yes. Obviously, we don't know what the player feels like exactly, although I'm sure there's a lot of temptation to go, of course. But again, the lens in which you view these deals is all in how they're replaced. If you think about the funds that we brought in for these players, is significant. I did have a breakdown somewhere actually. I'm not sure if I got the visual cue for it. Just bear with me real quick while I look for this. I'll even just kind of list it out. I'll read it out even. But yeah, you kind of look at some of the outs here. Massena 4 million, Suarez 3.5 with a sell on that is. Chucho Hernandez possibly up to 12 million, Zinkenagel 4, Sissoko almost 2, Dennis 22, Samir 7, Richarlison 2, Bar, there's a 450,000 loan fee, Estepinian at least $1 million in terms of sell-on as well. All these players listing up and adding up, and it's significant. If you also included in there 25 million for Sarr, 30 million for Pedro, and we're getting close. We're getting close to 100 million. We're adding this up, and it's significant. And there's still plenty of room to make a very good profit for the club, but also reinvest semi-heavily, because I think they'd have to. You take out those players from the team, you're taking away some really, really big weapons from Rob. And whilst I think there's some quality in the players we have, I like some of the signings we've made for sure. We'd need reinforcements, 1 or 2 in those striker positions, and you'd have to invest pretty heavily, I'd say, to make sure you would get yourself some quality if you are truly looking to attain promotion this season. So I think the team gets significantly worse if you take out those pieces, and it's it'd be disappointing for Rob as well to lose all 3. I don't think there's any situation which you can feel happy about if you're the club or a fan to see these 3 players sold and not replaced. There's no strategy that I can see which benefits the club to do so, apart from extremely short-term financial strategy. But obviously the lure of Premier League football is something which should encourage a team to take some risks in the market. And when you're bringing in the sort of money we are, those risks are kind of minimised even more so because of the financial flexibility we then have. According to Duxbury himself, obviously the club have a good financial situation right now, much better than last time we were relegated. So with the income come in, you'd expect a decent percentage of that, and even a smaller percentage of that being reinvested is still a significant amount of money to invest into the first team, and I think it has to be done. In terms of the reaction for the fan base, obviously there's been a lot of disappointment. I think Pedro, as I said, is a fan favourite, and I understand that. So there's disappointment and frustration. There's also some on the other side too who are saying, I think it's a good deal. And so I think it's what's important to remember though in these situations is the varied opinion doesn't have to be so tribal at times. I think we often fall into categories of for or against, and people get angry about things and get defensive of their standpoint and kind of tie themselves to a particular view on whether it be a player or the club or whatever. But I've seen a lot of kind of dismissing of varying opinions, whether that be positive or negative, and there are certain names that are going to get discussed, whether it be groups that are closer to the club who are more positive, or whether it be some of the kind of more out there vocal groups, the Sunday service from Uncle Ron and Ed that's put on that. They speak about the negatives more often, but I think what you have to value though is that we do have varying voices talking, and no matter what you think of their opinions on the Sunday service, they do articulate them. They have reasoning for them, whether you agree or not. They're giving reason. I've spoken to both Ed and Rupert myself, along with Luke as well, and we've had discussions, and their opinions are not invalid, even if you don't agree. I don't agree with all the things they say, and I'm sure they don't agree with all the things I say, and that goes for other people on Twitter or other groups or whatever. Not everyone has the same opinion on everything, but we should be able to have some level of fluidity in our opinions and go into conversations with the openness to perhaps change a viewpoint. And I think as long as people are doing that on both sides, then we'll be better off as a fan group. But I think try and have a varied view. Try and take in as much as you can, and try and listen to the different opinions. Don't kind of disregard them or discount them too quickly because of where they come from or what side of the fence they fall on. Because there are some intelligent voices on all sides right now, so make the most of it, I'd say. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers it. Actually, one more thing. We're talking the positive. We'll talk about incomings. One of the issues from the Birmingham game for me still, and one that will come into that Preston game is the progression from the outside centre-backs. We still need to improve that. I know I've been banging on about that forever now, it feels like, but it is legitimately something we have to improve. We don't quite have the players to do so now. Cathcart got by on the left. I think he's more able to. But the right-hand side, especially with Christian Cabaselli, I felt like we really struggled in possession, and also he could be exposed off the ball as well. But it does sound like the arrival of Courtney Hause on the left centre-back position on loan from Villa with a potential option to buy is imminent. And on the right-hand side, it also sounds like Jack Stevens from Southampton, experienced centre-back, 28 years old, who's had experience playing on the outside of a back three. Someone can come in and we can feel more comfortable and gives us some better cover. What that means to our homegrown situation, it'll obviously be improved. 2 homegrown players coming in, good ages, both potential loans with option to buy. Stevens could be an outright sale, permanent signing, depending on the situation. Not quite sure yet. But I would imagine that spells the end for some more of the non-homegrown players, whether that's maybe Christian Cabaselli, potentially seems a bit of a crowded room. I know he's homegrown, but Troost-Ekong, potential players that we could see out the door. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for today. I'm conscious of not going too long on this one. I tried to condense it all as much as possible. Again, when the schedule, if we get more of a routine and we're not playing all these kind of Friday, Monday games, then it should be easier to kind of get more of a routine down, so we can get some more individualized videos. We can spend more time on each topic if that's what you want. Although if you like these more condensed videos where I'm covering more in one, then let me know. Please feel free to get in touch. We can have a chat if you want to talk about anything Watford related or not. I guess you just want to have a chat, feel free to shoot over a message. Please like and subscribe to the video if you can. If not, that's okay. Leave a review or comment. Tell me what's going good, what you like, what you don't like, what you think. I'm interested to hear. I'm always interested to hear people's opinions. Also come over to Twitter at Watford Analytics or at Jordan Weimer, and we can have a discussion on there and keep updated on everything that's going on in the periods between games and over the games. So yeah, that's been this video for today, and I look forward to the next one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.